Our testers, especially my conditionals, I know I've been coordinating your prep cycle for about the last month and a half, so keep up the hard work, especially pods A, B, and C. See you in a few hours. And on to my talk. So for our second degree requirement, we have to do a little quick talk on 3 of our leadership laws that, three of our leadership laws that are that resonate most with us. And so my leadership laws, to begin, I chose the law of sacrifice. And as many of you might know, I am going into my senior year of neuroscience for my undergrad. Sacrifice is something that I definitely need to practice a lot because I want to choose what I sacrifice before something else chooses it for me. For example, studying, procrastination, definitely not helpful when you are in 400, 500 level courses for your undergrad going into an occupational therapy grad school next year. Okay, so sacrifice is probably one of the biggest. Moving on is empowerment. As an instructor, obviously you all know I am an instructor. Empowerment is one that I really take pride in adapting to, and empowerment is something that I really focus on because I want to empower all of the students and all of my followers, especially people on my competition team and in prep cycle who are in this test right now. So I really want to take my time and dedicate my power to people who need it and need that extra boost of confidence or hard work or effort or whatever they need, and using my power to empower others. Finally, moving on into the law of connection. Law of connection, I'm going to actually kind of correct it over to something else, and I want to talk about credibility, because in order to really connect with people, you really need a solid foundation of credibility. And in martial arts, it's really easy to show credibility physically, visually, because your uniform, the color of your belt, kind of already displays how much time, how much knowledge, how much experience you've had in martial arts. But what a belt color or your uniform color doesn't show is how you truly act and how you think in the face of a challenge. So I really show my credibility, especially with my competition team. Some of you, I see Mr. Busselman, I know there's some more of you guys out there who are on my competition team, know that me and Mr. Worth as your coaches really take pride in being credible with you guys, because we take our time to train with you, we take our time to compete with you, we take our time to do all of our exercises with you, and I really hope that that has been communicated, that we would never ask you guys to do something that we wouldn't do ourselves. And finally, going into my discipline talk, that is also a requirement. Discipline for me, a lot of you guys know discipline as being consistent with practicing. For discipline for me is making sure that I have proper self-care. And this self-care is in 2 dimensions, mentally and physically. So mentally, of course, I practice a lot of meditation, quiet time, yoga, reading books, journaling, all that stuff. Really helping with my mental headspace to make sure that I can do my best to be a good leader for everyone else. And physically, of course, eating healthy, exercising. Discipline for me is also, with self-care, is doing the things that you don't want to do, but you know you have to do because it's going to make you a better person and get to your goals. So that is it for me.
Awesome job. Cool. Next up, we're going to have Mr. Zwizzler do his second degree talk. So, Mr. Zwizzler, when you're ready.
Hello?
Oh, they're there.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Mr. Schwizzler. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a second degree candidate. I'll be starting with my 3 laws. My first law is the law of foundation. And I'm sure, as all of you guys know, it's really important when you're starting to get your basics down, because it's really hard to fix those later on in the game. Like, kind of like a cup pyramid. If you don't have a good base, the whole thing falls down later. So yeah, I guess that could be an analogy for it. When I started off, I was about 8 years old, and I was very like mischievous, and I had bad grades. I was not respectful to my parents or to the instructors, and you guys can ask any of them that, and I'm sure they will back that up. But I had to take a couple breaks to really work on my foundation, as I was saying, work on who I was as a person. And then once I had what was going on at home kind of under control, I started to come into the karate studio more. And that is where I started to build my foundation for karate and slowly progress, which leads me into my next law, the law of progression, which I think I really portrayed what the author says when he says a leader develops daily, not in a day. Because when I was starting off, I would come in all the time after I, of course, had what was going on at home.
Can you hear it all right?
What? What?
Just continue, Mr. Swizzler.
Yes, sir. And so I was coming in all the time, and that started to develop me even more as a martial artist and as a person. My skills started to increase, and I started to move up in the belt ranks, and as I progressed into the belt ranks, like I said, I started to become a better person, just kind of overall in general, or at least I'd like to hope so. My third law is the law of magnetism. And I believe that once I became like one of the higher ranks, like low brown and up, I started to become a little bit better of a leader. And I think that comes into play with the law of magnetism, because it's a lot easier to lead people who like you, who are like attracted to you, than people who don't like you or they don't like your character. So if you can attract more people to you, then it's a lot easier to gather a following or like to help people out with that. It also helped me outside of the karate studio, because at school, it was attracting me to like better people, and I guess like helping me down the right path. Yep, that's my 3 laws. And then my summary on self-discipline is, self-discipline for me is kind of the little things, like knowing when to talk, knowing when not to talk, because in prep cycle and times like that, I would always talk like constantly. And I definitely, what went around came around, because I started to get the punishments for it, which I think I'm so thankful for, which sounds a little like off, like I'm thankful for the punishment, but I really am, because it's taught me a lot about like focus and knowing when to like go hard and try my best, and when to relax and when to talk and when not to talk. Yep, thank you.
Okay, next up is going to be Crystal Blay, Bob Blay, and Daniel Blay for their leadership presentations. That will be up in a second.
All right, here we go.
Daniel, go ahead.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you can begin when you're ready.
Thank you, sir.
Grocery deliveries during the pandemic.
Next slide, please.
Our,
Go ahead and say your thing about
the original plan. This was not our original plan. The original plan for our community service project was it was for people, for bees, maybe like help the bee community, but then the whole pandemic happened, and then we had to switch it up. So during it, we actually helped our families get groceries, the most get the virus, like the ones that have more like risk, like ones that have more risk, like.
So our original goal was to support 6 to 8 people who were self-isolating due to health reasons. We were lucky enough to get 4 family members who were interested in our cause and allowing us to help them out. This included 4 of my family members and 1 of Bob's family members. And it's been an interesting situation going into the grocery stores during this time, between the face masks, food hoarding. The early days were very difficult to find items on the list, even basics like milk and bread. You'd have to go to 3 or 4 stores for sometimes. Next slide, please.
So at least every other weekend, we've gone out and gotten groceries for some family members. Occasionally it's every weekend. Typically this has been taking us 3 to 4 hours for trips, going to several stores to get everything for what the family members have ordered. Next slide, please.
I'll read this one. At times, we have purchased over $400 worth of groceries in one trip.
And as you can see, this is one typical load of groceries for the 4 family members up in Estes Park. Next slide, please.
There you go.
Go ahead, Tanner.
And once in a while we would talk to the family members because, as you know, we can't really see them, hug them, or say hi to them properly because of everything that's going on.
So yeah, that's us delivering to my father one of the days there, and the kids are actually getting a chance to say hi.
Yeah,
So,
I wish I could hug them and say, I should hug them.
Next slide, please. So our ongoing goal at this time is to continue helping the family members. We are open to helping out 2 to 3 other friends or family members should the need arise. Currently, the people we are close to either have help or willing to use drive-up services. Next, excuse me. Next slide, please.
Roll it. Any questions?
Right now, we actually do not have time for questions. So next up is going to be Mr. Dorian for his leadership presentation.
Thank you, sir.
That was pretty good.
Mr. Dorian, we're ready when you're ready.
Sure. So my Black Bolt community project. Next slide, please. My community project was to the Longmont Humane Society. Our plan was to bring blankets and towels for the dogs to keep them warm and comfortable. And we're going to put bins around at the Longmont School and at the bowling alley so people could put in blankets and towels for the dogs. And then I was gonna put collection bins for dog and cat treats, but then the pandemic came around and then we couldn't anymore because they use lots and lots of food during a day. Next slide. This is what I got accomplished. I was able to collect around 30 blankets and 50 towels. And I also got extra donations, poop bags and dog collars for the dogs to wear when it's raining. And I really enjoyed doing this project around the Humane Society and helping the dogs. Next slide, please. So I walked around my street and handed out goodie bags with like hand sanitizer, some fruit snacks to my neighbors, trail mix. So, and a list of phone numbers. So if anybody needed help, they could call us or they could call anybody else around our street. Next slide, please. And then the end.
Okay, next up is Ian Tretton.
Hi, my name is Ian Trenton, and my leadership project is kindness dinosaurs. Next slide, please. Kindness dinosaurs, what are they? They are a small plastic dinosaurs with a note attached saying, "You found me, now I'm yours." How do they work? You put them in random places where others can find them. Why do we do it? To bring people happiness. How did they start? When I was 3, to show gratitude during November and December, I started leaving these dinosaurs at the library, in parks, and at restaurants, and in the Longmont Karate School for others to find and spread some happiness. I love seeing how excited little kids got when they would find them. So when I had to pick a leadership project, I knew exactly what to do. How is this a leadership project? I like to bring people happiness, whether those silly jokes, a smile, or random acts of kindness. I am going to lead others in their own kindness dinosaurs, random acts of kindness. Next slide, please. My action plan. When things are safer and people aren't so worried about germs, I will create small bags of 5 kindness dinosaurs and put them in each of the 3 ripple effect schools. My goal is to make enough for 100 students to participate. Make announcements in class for my karate family members to pick up a bag at the front desk and start spreading their own happiness by leaving kindness dinosaurs wherever they go. The end.
Okay, so we have time for one question from Mr. Ian. Who has a question? Or Miss Hayes has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, whatever. I think you can see me. Hey, Ian, where did you get this idea?
My parents?
Yeah, that's awesome. What was the favorite? What was your favorite thing that you put on with your dinosaurs?
Mostly I just like take little plastic dinosaurs and put them just places and leaves a note and then just leave them there until somebody finds it.
Cool. Awesome. Proud of you, bud.
All right, next up is Olivia Baker for her leadership presentation.
I'm going to read this. No.
Just step back.
Step back. I'm not. Nope.
We are ready when you are ready.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Miss Olivia, and my leadership project was for our center by helping those in need. Next slide, please. What is our center? Our center is a nonprofit organization, also known as Outreach United Resource Center. They help families facing hardships to get back on their feet. Their goal is to move people towards self-sufficiency. They provide food, clothing, counseling, and children's education at no cost. Our center is set up to look like a grocery store and a clothing store so that shopping there gives those in need a choice of what they can bring home. Next slide, please. Why did I choose our center? I chose our center because they provide those in need with food and clothes so that they can work towards self-sufficiency. I really wanted to help them expand their clothes and food inventory. Next slide. Thank you. How did I help our center? I supported our center by putting a donation bin at Rima Longmont. I collected donations of new socks and underwear, feminine hygiene products, travel-sized toiletries. I also asked for financial donations by setting up a GoFundMe page for the Adopt a Shelf program.
The Adopt a Shelf program is a supermarket where those in need can shop for what they need at no cost. Next slide, please. My goals and achievements. So my financial donation goal was $480. $480 would provide 1 year of food for the Adopt a Shelf program. I achieved $1,000 and you know what? I'm just going to say $1,000 and I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. And for feminine projects, I asked for 10 kits and I got, oh dear, that's wrong. I'm sorry. Feminine products, I asked for 10 kits and I got 200. Next slide, please. These are pictures. I counted donations and going to our center. I didn't smile, sorry. Next slide, please. Thank you. Because of your generosity, I was able to meet and exceed all of my goals. Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one question. So who has a question for Miss Olivia? Raise your hand if you do. Mr. Cal, what is your question?
I don't have a question, sir.
Okay, next up is Colleen Huff for her leadership presentation.
So my leadership project is kind of what I've been doing. It's I work with the MS ride every year. This is the Multiple Sclerosis Society. Next slide. During this, I actually work as a ham radio operator, helping coordinate the ride while it's occurring. It's anywhere from 80 to 100 miles long, so it takes a lot. It also goes in the back country where we lose cell phone communication. We coordinate with the officials, with local PDs, Colorado State Patrol, and with the riders themselves. And our goal is to maintain a safe ride for the cyclists during their ride. I do two-day events, one in Colorado, and then there's one up in Sheridan, Wyoming that I work with. Next slide. This is of what it kind of looks like at our start line for the Bighorn Classic up in Sheridan. We work out of the Sheridan Community College. That's our start line. And then we have, that's a picture of our towers on the first year that we did this, just outside the community center. So we do have to make our radios reach pretty far. And that's where ham radio communication comes in really well. And that it's not what you get on CB or something like that. It's a specialized license that we have to be able to talk to each other. Next slide. This was another site that we did. This is also up in Bighorn country, where we really had to shoot that antenna way up high. That's actually 100 feet up straight up from the ground. So we have to adapt to those changing conditions, whether it's we're working in an easy up tent with a table and the wind, subject to the wind and weather, or whether we're like here, we were in a nice little air conditioned little room, a dorm room on the college campus, and able to work out of that. Next slide. Some of the big challenges we have occurred over the last few years, we've had anything from 100-degree weather during the bike ride. This is the bike ride occurs in Colorado. It goes from Westminster to Fort Collins and then comes back the next day. We get 100-degree weather during this ride. A couple of years ago, we had 100 degrees on Saturday, and Sunday we actually had a hailstorm with tornado warnings. And we had to be able to adapt and adjust to that and quickly so that we could help the riders as much as possible. We have dealt with severely injured riders. Just getting the call out of a rider down. We've had some not hit by a car, but basically blown down by a car driving too fast.
You have 1 minute left.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And then of course we lose riders from time to time and equipment failures. Next slide. Things that we've learned and accomplished out of this is, we've increased our relationships with, my husband helps me with this, or we both do it together. We work very well with the Colorado State Patrol and Wyoming County Sheriff's Office, as well as the local offices. We've been doing this service for 11 years, 3 years at the Wyoming event. And we help coordinate with anywhere from, for the 2 days, up to 50 to 60 hours per event. And then just keeping calm in that high stress environment that occurs with the bike ride. And I believe that's the last slide.
We do not have time for any questions right now, but next up is Jackson Rain and Izzy Lopez.
Our leadership project, Izzy Lopez. Our goal was to make 10 blankets in total for children. Why? To pay kindness forward. Jackson received a blanket when he was in the hospital, which he still has and receives today. I received a blanket when I was in the hospital and I admire it today, to this day. Those blankets helped make me feel and Jackson feel less scared in the hospital. Next slide, please. Thank you to Room for Hope. Room for Hope is an organization that supports, mentors, and encourages women and their children in life crisis. There are many times when a mother and her child or children find themselves in situations of risk. Those children also need comfort and often lose everything they had. Next slide, please. How we did it. We looked up different ways to how to make blankets. We decided on tie blankets, where you take 2 pieces of fabric, cut them in half, and then double knot them together. Next slide, please. These are some of the pictures of us making the blankets and us having the blankets. Next slide, please. The one on the right corner is all the blankets that we made, and then those are me sewing and us cutting the fabric. Next slide, please.
How did we do? It made 14 blankets, and each blanket took around 1.5 hours to 2 hours to make. The blankets were given to Room for Hope. Next slide, please. What did we learn? Things that went well was that we learned how to make tie blankets, we improved our teamwork skills, and we were able to make a variety of blankets both in size and color. What could have gone better? Sewing with blankets with a sewing machine was a lot harder than we thought. It was a lot more work than we expected. Next slide, please. Thank you to Lisa Lopez and Michelle Beal. A thank you also to Room for Hope. Next slide, please. Any questions?
Unfortunately, we do not have time for questions right now, but thank you, Izzy and Jackson, for presenting. Next up is Zeke Miller and the Eklunds.
Ready? All right. Just gotta wait for the slides to go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jake Eklund.
Larry Eklund.
My name is Brady Eklund.
And I'm Zeke.
And this is our leadership project. Next slide, please.
So in Australia, the fire season hit early and the firefighters were not ready. So we have some statistics here, and on the side we have pictures of the smoke. The entire South Island of New Zealand was covered by smoke from Australia during the peak. Next, please.
What we did, take action. Next, please.
How did we help? We wanted to help the victims of Australia bushfires.
Asked our karate schools for donations.
We 3D printed training knives as a team.
And each person who donated received a training knife.
Next, please. These are some pictures of us printing the knives.
Next, please.
These are our results.
Next slide, please.
Here are our final statistics. We made 128 knives. Here are below the knives made are some of the favorite color options that people really liked. We sold 81 knives, and then these are also some of the how much of people liked. Next slide, please.
You have to click again.
Sir, can you advance? Thank you.
Our goal was 500.
Our goal was 500, and in Australian dollars, 728. Total raised from donations, 1,244. Total filming donated 849. Grand total 2,093.
Next slide, please.
Here are some success and struggles.
They didn't always turn out the way we planned. Next slide, please.
Here's what we learned. Picking a cause you are passionate about.
In order to make that price reasonable, we did have to donate a lot of our time and our money.
And we learned how to advertise and promote our cause/product. Next, please.
The benefactors.
So
Australian fire.
Go ahead, Zeke.
So we decided to donate some money to the people and the animals. This is the people group we donated to. We donated $311 US to them. We chose them because there's no charities that takes the money out. They get all the money directly. Next, please.
Bushfire Emergency Wildlife Fund.
We decided to do the bulk of our donations because this was underfunded compared to the fire departments, which had a surplus of donations by the time our money got there. Next slide, please.
Unexpected global pandemic brings the care closer to home.
These little genius contraptions make wearing face masks much easier. Over 300 were made and donated to Associate in Family Medicine, Northern Colorado Medicine Center, Ripple Effect Martial Arts.
A special thank you to Tristan Matthews for continuing to make these.
Wellington Eye Care, any community member in need. Next.
The holders in action. Next, please.
A huge thank you to everyone who donated.
For all of your participation, this truly made it all of your project as much as it was ours. Thank you for everything.
Next slide, please.
We're going to take a couple minutes. We're going to take a couple seconds for you to find your name on these slides.
Mr. Tristan, for how much time we have left? We have 4 slides with this. If you wouldn't mind just kind of divvying them up and advancing them appropriately.
Noise.
Thank you, sir.
Give a special thanks to these people for going above and beyond and donating. Next, please.
Any
questions?
We have time for one question. So who would like to ask them a question?
Mr. Zeke, you want to field the question when they ask it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So,
For Miss Olivia, what is your question?
did you like using the 3D printer, and was it easy or hard to use?
Well, I didn't do a ton of using it, but from what I understand, it was super easy to use, but the hard part was getting it set up and keeping it working because it broke and we had to rebuild one.
Yes, sir. A lot.
Thank you for your presentation. You guys did an awesome job. Next up is Randy Woolman.
Hi, my name is Randy Woolman, and I help save lives in Haiti. Next slide, please. What I am doing. For my black belt project, I was and still am selling slime and stress balls to save lives of children in Haiti. Since I have quite a few kids in my neighborhood, it is the perfect idea. I love making slime and stress balls a lot, and it's what helping me save lives. Next slide, please. How much it costs to save a life. It cost in total to save one life $69. In selling slime, I went down one street and got $207, which equals 3 lives. I need 69 more to save one more life to reach my goal for saving 4 children. Next slide, please. Percentage of malnutrition in Haiti and how my school and I helped them. At my school, Longmont Christian, a girl named Laura graduated a long time ago and she wanted to be a missionary to Haiti. She and a few of her friends started a company called Footprints of the Sun. And their mission is to help children who are malnourished, which means they don't eat enough and you can make out every bone in their body. But this organization helps kids by giving their family Mamba, aka peanut butter. One pack is $69, which is a month's supply. Laura came in and talked to us about how we can make a difference in Haiti. The very next day, donations were pouring in, and within 1 month, we saved 9 lives. Since I told my school about my Black Belt project, and they encouraged me to find a way to help them in saving lives, and I did. Altogether, my school and I saved 12, soon to be 13 children. The percentage of malnutrition in Haiti is 1 in 5 children in Haiti that are malnourished. 1 in 10 are actually malnourished, and 1 in 4 die before reaching the age of 5. Next slide, please.
You have 1 minute left.
Thank you, sir. So on the left, there are pictures of some of the slime that I make, and on the left are stress balls. And next slide, I think. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Next up is Dominic Herrera and Angel Nunez.
Let's do this. Come on.
Here.
Right, here it goes.
Here, stand back here. The camera, nobody can see you, so just stand back right here is good. When you get it up, who goes first?
Right.
It's coming.
So,
here it comes.
Right, there it is. All right.
You need them one.
Here we go. All right. Hope for Longmont, a project by Dominic Herrera and Angel Nunez. Right. Ready, Angel? Let's do this. Right. Our project. We contacted Hope for Longmont to find out what we can do to help the homeless in Longmont. They let us know that they need snack bags with a protein pop-top can and with 2 snacks. They also said that they could use jackets, gloves, and socks for men. We set up a bin in Ripple Effect Longmont School asking for donations. Those donations were large mittens, large or extra large coats, hats, canned protein. Right. We were going to do a basket in our schools, but due to the pandemic, our schools were closed, and our goal was to collect 15 protein snack bags for each of us. Right. Ready, Angel? Next slide, please.
Our goal is to collect 15 bags of donations each. When we started this project, we weren't able to get much collected. We were also opening our collection to asking for large men's jackets, gloves, and socks in case they are not able to donate any protein or snack items. Our next step is to resume collection activities once it's safe to do so. We will take pictures at Project Hope and at the places we go to ask for donations, and we will present our completed project at the next Black Belt or Black Belt Immersion weekend.
Please. Why we chose this project? We chose this project because we feel like people who don't have a choice to be able to have food every day should be able to survive. Now, about Hope for Longmont. Hope for Longmont stands for Homeless Outreach Providing Encouragement, mostly run by the volunteers there. Hope was formed on May 15, 2007, and provides the only 1 year overnight service center for the homeless in the community of Longmont, while offering support as follow-through services. They also give all the basic needs to survive. They're also including hot food, laundry, storage, and showers. They support the homeless community to get back on their feet and into housing. They also provide year-round street outreach services to connect with the individuals on the street on a deeper level. They really want to eliminate all the people who don't have homes and the individuals on the streets, and providing life-sustaining support individuals experiencing homelessness. All right, next slide, please.
What we have learned so far. We have a good feeling about this project because it gave us an idea of how to make this world a better place in many ways that everyone can do. We have learned about the great need for community help for the homeless in Longmont. We are thankful for being able to be part of the solution and a chance to serve our community. This project helps exemplify the principles of Black Belt. Next slide, please.
All right. Thank you for presenting that. Next up is Miller Vaughn.
Bye.
Sit up straight. It needs to load. Hello, my name is Miller Vaughn, and this is my leadership project. Next slide. How I got the idea. I was volunteering with my teacher this year, and we both noticed how many dry markers we were throwing away. I decided to see if there was a way we could recycle them. I found the Crayola Color Cycle program. The Color Cycle program has repurposed more than 70 tons of markers since 2013. Crayola works with a manufacturing facility to melt down and convert the plastic to make wax compounds for asphalt and roofing shingles. They also turn it into a liquid clean burning fuel to generate electricity that can be used to heat homes, cook food, and power vehicles. However, this recycling program is only offered through K-12 schools. Next slide. This is the process of how they turn the markers into the fuel. So we collect the markers, drop them off into a bin, pack them up, we give them to them, they ship it to their company, and then they make it into fuel. Next slide. So the next steps. I had to talk to my principal and get approval to set up the recycling boxes in the school. I had to make all the recycling boxes, create a video speech that was then shared with all the teachers and staff in our school. Next slide. I made the boxes a little more fun by putting goalposts and basketball hoops on the boxes. Then I set up all the boxes and signs throughout the school. Next slide. I also also placed a box at Ripple Effect Martial Arts. My goal was to collect 1,000 markers by the end of the school year. Then the coronavirus happened. Next slide. Timeline. So March 3rd, 2020, I placed the boxes around the school, but then March 13th, the school was closed due to the virus. So I was able to pick up my markers that had been recycled already. Next slide. I counted all the markers that were collected at my school in only 9 days. And the tally was, next slide, 1,073. Next slide. And once I was able to get the box from Ripple Effect, I added that number. My final count to date was 1,141. The Color Cycle program is currently paused due to coronavirus, and they are not accepting any donation shipments. Hopefully, once the school reopens in the fall, I will be able to box up all the markers and ship them back to Crayola with the free shipping label they provide. My school is very happy to participate, and they hope it will be a program they can continue to do each year using my cool boxes. Remember, don't throw out that used marker. Color cycle it.
Awesome job, sir. Next up is Kelly Clark.
Hi, my name is Kelly Clark, and this is my leadership project. Next slide, please. There we go. So what I did was I raised money for Animal Friends Alliance, which was formerly known as Animal House. And I did this by putting a box in the Fort Collins and Johnstown school for items, and I held a bake sale to raise money. Next slide. I chose this project because I decided to help a shelter because I got both of my dogs from a shelter, and I chose Animal House because that's where I got my dog Ren. Next slide, please. In total, with my boxes, I collected 30 cans of cat food, 1 blanket, 1 dog bowl, 5 dog toys, 1 jar of peanut butter, 3 bags of dog cat treats, and I also donated the baskets I collected the items in. Next slide, please. At the bake sales, I sold treats like cookies, cupcakes, and brownies. In total, I collected around 120. I did this during a belt promotion last summer. Next slide, please. On drop-off day, I separated the cat and dog items into 2 separate baskets, which I donated as well. Next slide, I think. This shows leadership by finding a need in the community and filling it. And I set up and ran the bake sale by myself, and I announced the boxes for items after classes. Next slide. Thank you.
Awesome job, ma'am. We do not have time for questions right now, but next up is Georgia and Jameson Franks.
Hi everyone, so my name is Georgia Franks.
And I'm Jameson Franks, and our Black Belt project is to support the safe shelter of St. Vrain Valley.
Next slide, please.
So, we want to start our presentation by explaining what domestic violence is. Domestic violence is a type of abuse and a crime that happens inside the home or with people you have a relationship with. So on a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed in domestic violence hotlines nationwide. And about 1 in 3 women and about 1 in 4 men experience domestic violence in their lifetime.
Next slide, please. So the Safe Shelter of St. Vrain is a local nonprofit organization, and they provide shelter, help, and therapy for victims of abusive situations. Anyone can go to the shelter if they're experiencing domestic violence, and they also have a hotline that's answered 24/7, and they educate people on domestic violence and help with legal advocacy if needed. Next slide, please. So we wanted to make a big impact with our Black Belt project. So our goals were to collect 75 donation items on their wish list, raise $300 in monetary donations, and make 15 fleece blankets for children and teenagers who can use them. Next slide, please.
So we did 3 things to accomplish these goals. One, we started a GoFundMe page that sent direct donations to the safe shelter and shared it with friends, family, and ripple effect schools. We also placed donations bins in the Longmont and Johnstown schools to collect physical donations. Me and Georgia also made fleece blankets by hand for children and teens who visit the shelter. We did all of this in the middle of February to the middle of April of this year.
Next slide, please.
Not only did we surpass our goal, not only did we meet our goal, but we surpassed them. So we got 76 items donated. Art supplies, diapers, socks, toiletries, and these are only a few of the many things that were donated to us.
So we made 18 fleece blankets. There's a picture of Jameson making them, and this is a picture of all of the finished blankets when we were done. Next slide, please. So we also collected $530 total. We collected $430 through our GoFundMe campaign, and we had a $100 direct donation. Next slide, please.
Thank you to everyone who made their donations to the shelter. When we dropped off everything, they were extremely grateful. They were also saying that they liked that kids did this and chose them for their projects because it helps educate children who can educate other people on domestic violence, which is a really bad thing, and it goes against the Black Belt Creed and everything that we stand for as a martial arts school. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Awesome job. We do not have questions. We don't have time for questions, but next up is Seth Hagedorn.
All right, guys. Mr. Seth, hello. Go ahead, go to the next slide for me, sir. So originally, guys, my plan was I was gonna collect cards, like little just envelope cards, at my local church. I had it set up with the missions committee. It was all ready to go. And just like a week before I was planning to put out my donation box, unfortunately, coronavirus happened, and I was unable to continue with the project because the organization that we were going to donate the cards to was no longer accepting donations. Go ahead to the next slide, sir. So after this, I decided to turn my attention to our local church garden, which we've had going for a few years now. I helped build it. I think it was 2017. I helped build it with some friends, and pretty reliably every year it's produced at least 100 pounds of food, which we usually donate to the Hour Center or another organization. But this year, we were again unable to do that, unfortunately, because of coronavirus. So instead of doing my old project, I decided I'm going to take care of the garden for my church community. Usually it falls to an elderly person who I would much rather stay at home and keep themselves safe. So I decided I'll go ahead every day when I go on my run. I check in on the garden, weed it, make sure the watering system's all good, and just check in on everything. Go ahead to the next slide, sir. So just a few facts about the garden. So 2016. So last year it produced over 100 pounds of food, which again, like I said, we donated to the Hour Center. My family and I, as well as some friends, helped build it back in 2016. We also, as well as donating to the Hour Center, we have a lot of extra food that, when we all donate at once, right? We all donate all the food at once, right at the end of the season. But all the produce that we collected before that, we go ahead and we just, after church service, put it out there, and anybody who wants to come on by can just pick up some of it. And since the COVID closed our church, like I said, having our church community, which are mostly 80 plus elderly people, was a definite challenge. So we decided that instead of collecting it all and donating it or trying to find a way to produce it or hand it out, we were just gonna put out signs all over the neighborhood and just ask people to come on over whenever, no contact with anybody, and just pick whatever they need. Go ahead to the next slide. So at first we tried putting out, I made like 8 of these little help yourself, we love our neighbors, come get some fresh food from our garden. I just put them all around. We have a local park I put over there, put them on the garden itself. And unfortunately they lasted about 2 days before they all got, shredded to bits by the, nature. So pretty recently, I unfortunately don't have any pictures, but pretty recently we made like bigger yard signs and like banisters, and we put those up all around our neighborhood so that people, when they were driving by, could see a little bit more of like a sturdy kind of way for people to come check. And the last time I checked on it was Thursday, right before I came to the test. So when I went over there was a lot less stuff on the actual plants than I had expected there to be. There's definitely people that are coming over and collecting the food, which I'm very grateful for. It would totally be a bummer if nobody grabbed it, but it looks like a lot of people are using this and taking advantage of our hard work. Go ahead to the next slide for me. So I'm not the best cameraman, unfortunately. Like I said, I go on a run every day and I just check on it then, so I don't have much help. So most of these are just selfies or little things I took with my own camera. But yeah, I just got a picture with the sign and a video of the whole garden. You don't have to show it though. I think that's the last slide, but go ahead and check anyway. I think there may be one. No, that was it. All right, so yeah, pretty much I just took care of the garden, got everybody, put up signs all over the neighborhood. And unfortunately I couldn't do what I originally planned on doing. I am, however, I have little flyers that I'm gonna pass out all around the neighborhood, put them in front of doors, stuff like that, just to get the word out a little bit more once the test finishes. But yeah, so that's my leadership project, guys. Thank you.
So awesome job to everyone who presented today. So now that everyone has presented, you guys at 8:15, you guys will come back from Mr. Olmstead's seminar. But for 15 minutes, you can have a snack and water break and do whatever you want. So awesome job, everyone.
Wait, is there?
And that will be the other code.
Is there a group dismissed to go to Johnstown?
Let's see.
I am not sure.
I think they were dismissed at 7.
Miss Hayes is checking right now.
Groups A, B, and C were dismissed at 7. Is that right?
Miss Hayes is checking right now.
You guys aren't here, are you?
Well, we couldn't have presented then if we were dismissed at 7.
Oh, that's true.
Groups A.
Oh no, it is 8. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong side of the schedule. Yes, okay, you guys are here. You guys should leave. Is that clear? Does that help? All right, other code, 15 minutes.
Thank you, sir.